descended into the lower parts of the earth. So shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. There's a lot of scriptures that tell you where it's at, but I understood that I was down deep in the earth. And I thought about my wife, that she's up on the surface, and that she would never know where I was at. This was really a tormenting thought to me because we're really close. And I could never get to her again. I'd never see her again. She would absolutely never know where I'm at. Job 7:9 says, "He that goeth down to Sheol shall come up no more." So there's no way of getting out of there, and I knew I would never see her again. That thought alone was really tormenting. I was placed over next to this pit of fire, and looking at the fire, I could see outlines of people through the flames. There were people inside the flames burning. I mean, literally burning. If you ever see somebody on fire, it's terrible. I mean, probably none of us here have. But to see someone on fire is really an awful sight. And millions of people are burning, screaming, and still alive in the flames. So, and some people say, "Oh, Bill, it's not real fire in hell, it's metaphorical." That's not true. It's real fire, but not important what I say. I'm just going to give you a few scriptures, okay? John 15:6 says, Jesus said, "If a man abides not in me, just like men gather branches, and they're cast into the fire, and they're burned." Psalms 11:6 says, "Upon the wicked he will rain fire and brimstone and a horrible tempest." Psalms 140:10 says, "Let burning coals fall upon them. Let them be cast in the fire into deep pits." Matthew 13:49 says, "The angels shall sever the wicked and cast the wicked into a furnace of fire." And it's real fire. Remember in Revelation 9, where the bottomless pit is open during the tribulation time, and the demons are let out of that bottomless pit. Well, it says there was a great smoke arose out of the bottomless pit, and it filled the sky, and the air was darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. Well, if it was metaphorical fire, it wouldn't produce real smoke to darken the sky. See, it's real fire. And the same with the rich man. He said he was tormented in this flame. If it was just mental anguish, why would water suffice? So it's real fire. Even Charles Spurgeon said, "There is a real fire in hell as truly as you now have a real body, a fire exactly like that which we have on the earth." That was from Charles Spurgeon in the book Hell Under Fire, which is a really good reference book. Anyway, and you can imagine, we saw the Twin Towers when people were, burning up there, and they said that the temperature was 2,000 degrees of the fuel, and it would incinerate a person in 15 seconds, is what they said. And rather than face that 15 seconds of 2,000 degrees, people chose to jump. How awful that must have been to jump. Imagine. But they'd rather do that than face that. And scientists say that the center of the earth is 12,000 degrees. So imagine facing this kind of heat for eternity. This is one of the things you have to endure in hell. And that's why Jesus always said, "Where their worm dies not and the fire is not quenched." He really stressed the fire, because that's the most severe thing. The other torments are terrible. And just to give you a few scriptures on the demons tormenting you, Matthew 18:34 says, talks about being delivered to the tormentors. Matthew Henry's commentary, he comments on that verse, and he says, "Devils, the executioners of God's wrath, will be their tormentors forever." Luke 12:47 talks about being beaten with many stripes or beaten with few. John Wesley, he says on that, he quotes, "For the executioners of God's vengeance are at hand, and once he has delivered you over to them, you are undone forever." Psalms 50, verse 22, "You that forget God, I will tear you into pieces." Matthew Henry again says, "Those who will not consider the warnings of God's word will certainly be torn to pieces by the executioners." Psalms 116:3 says, "And the pains of Sheol laid hold upon me. I found trouble and sorrow." Anyway, there's many scriptures on this. I could keep going. But there's demons that can torment you. We know that demons or fallen angels are on the earth and also in Sheol right now. And Matthew 25:41 says so. Isaiah 14:15, Ezekiel 28:17, 2 Peter 2:4, Jude 6, and some others. But now after Judgment Day, Satan will be cast in the lake of fire. Okay, Revelation 20:10. But right now, he's free to roam the earth, and he's in hell. In Sheol, and he can torment people. People ask, is he in torment? I don't know. I believe he is. The commentators all believe that they're in partial torment, but they'll be in full torment after Judgment Day. But anyway, like I said, I was experiencing the smells, hunger, and you don't get to sleep in hell, ever. There's no sleep. Can you imagine? You ever stayed up one night and how tired you feel after a night? Well, you never get to sleep in hell, ever. And Revelation 14:11 says, "And the smoke of their torment ascends up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night." And it's talking about no rest from the torments, but also no physical rest. Psalms 127:2 says that he gives his beloved sleep. You see, you're not his beloved there. You don't get that benefit. Remember, all the good things go with God. So when he's not there, you don't get any good thing. You're not with your friends in hell. You're not partying in hell. You're not having conversations in hell. You are alone and isolated for eternity. And if you think you're tough here, and you can endure that, you're nothing. And Isaiah 5:14 says, "Therefore hell has enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure, and the mighty man shall be humbled." So if you think you're tough, you're nothing in hell. You're no match for those demons. There's a useless wasting away. Ecclesiastes 9:10 says there's no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in Sheol. So you have no purpose. You just rot away, useless waste away. There's no job, there's no one to help, there's nothing to do other than just suffer and be in torment. That's what hell's like. So you've got to breathe in this foul air. You never eat, you never sleep, you never drink, you don't get to be with people, you never see your loved ones again, and you suffer burning for eternity. This is what it's like in hell. I was so thirsty. Just one drop of water would have been so precious. Like the rich man said, I was so thirsty. I'm telling you, my wife and I now are wateraholics. Okay? I have a bar at home where we collect spring water from all over the world, so I became a water nut here. But I appreciate it. But when I saw it, my wife gave me a glass of water. When we came back, I asked for water. And you look at water, I looked at it and I saw life in a glass. It was just like life in a glass. I thought, wow, Lord, you've got life contained just in a glass. And there's no life in hell of any kind. So anyway, as all these things that you got to experience in hell, and to think, I only had a flashback of my life on earth. Because you're in torment, you're being tortured and everything else, you don't have time to really think. But I had a moment, and I thought about my life here on earth, and I thought about the people up on the earth's surface that are up here, and most of them don't even know there's a whole world going down there in hell. They're suffering. Millions of people that used to live on the earth's surface are down there now suffering because they made a wrong decision. And I thought about that, and I thought, man, I'll never get out of here. I'll never get that. That was just a horrible feeling to be lost there forever. And there's no angels to come rescue you. And tell you, the fear level that you experience in hell is so high. You ever been in a scary movie where the guy jumps from behind the scene and, he's going to kill the person, and you jump in your throat right at that moment? Well, okay, if you could take that times 1,000,000, that's the fear level you have to experience in hell for eternity. And try to relate to you quickly. I can relate something to fear. I used to surf a lot, and I grew up in Florida, and off Cocoa Beach we were surfing one day. This was when I was 16, and it was a school of sharks came by, mostly 9-foot tiger sharks. And the guy next to me got his leg torn off. It just ripped his leg right off. I saw it, blood all over the place. And the shark came and grabbed me, bit my board in half, and then grabbed my leg and pulled me down under the water. And that moment right then, you imagine the fear level, right, that you can try to imagine. It's really, really a scary moment. That paled in comparison to what you feel in hell. Okay? And so that's a pretty scary thing to experience is a shark attack. But anyway, the shark graciously let me go. It was God letting. I didn't have one mark on me. So, praise God. I wasn't even a Christian. I got saved right after that, though. Thank you, Lord. I haven't surfed a whole lot since either, so anyway. So that's the kind of fear that you have to tolerate in hell, and all these things that you have to endure for eternity. And, Jesus said again, where the worm dies not, where their worm dies not. Well, I know this is gross to explain, but, if you ever see a dead animal off the side of the road, you see maggots eating the flesh, how gross that is. Well, the word Jesus used, and also in Isaiah 14:11, it said that your bed will be upon a bed of maggots, and the maggots will cover you. And so, in other words, see, the maggot dies when it eats the flesh here on the earth. The maggot will die. But Jesus said, where their worm dies not, because the flesh is never consumed fully, so those maggots continually will feed sweetly on you, as it says in the Bible. So, is that gross enough? Just one of these things to endure would be bad enough. But to not breathe and not eat, not sleep, and have no fellowship and no people, and be alone and in darkness, these are all the things that you have to put up with in hell. And I was looking around